Have you ever stopped to think about how a simple substance can be, at the same time, a symbol of celebration and oblivion? For thousands of years, alcohol has crossed civilizations, from religious rituals in Mesopotamia to modern festivals that celebrate everyday life or major personal milestones. It has been called the gift of the gods, revered as a link to the divine, but also feared as a force capable of destabilizing minds and souls. It's fascinating how something so present in our history and culture can be so ambivalent. But after all, what do we really know about him? What secrets does alcohol hide behind its apparent simplicity? In this video, we'll explore the origins, mysteries, and spiritual impacts of alcohol, from its alchemical roots as Al-Kuhul, the spirit that separates body and soul, to warnings from spiritual masters about its hidden consequences. You're about to embark on a journey of discovery that goes far beyond the glass. We will reveal how this seemingly harmless substance influences not only the physical body, but also the energy field, the mind, and our connection to our deepest essence. Is the momentary pleasure of a sip worth the price we pay in our spiritual balance? This is a question that few dare to explore in depth. But throughout this video, I invite you to stay with me until the end, as we will unveil surprising truths that can forever change the way you see this substance so common and at the same time so enigmatic. From the earliest records of humanity, we find evidence of a constant search for relief, transcendence, and meaning. Living is for many carrying the weight of existential questions, complex emotions, and challenges that often seem unbearable. To escape these pressures, human beings have developed several ways to relieve the mind and soul. Music, dance, meditation, and of course, substances capable of altering the state of consciousness. Among these options, alcohol has emerged as one of the most intriguing and widely adopted elements over the centuries. But what makes alcohol so appealing? Its effect on the body is widely known. It relaxes muscles, reduces inhibitions, and, for a brief moment, makes life's problems seem minor and less urgent. It is as if reality is gently erased and replaced by a temporary feeling of lightness and euphoria. However, this experience does not fully explain the fascination it exerts on millions of people around the world. Alcohol is, in a way, a symbol. It carries deep and ambiguous meanings, representing both celebration and forgetfulness, connection and isolation, joy and tragedy. There is something almost mystical about the act of raising a glass and toasting. This gesture, repeated countless times in different cultures, seems to transcend the simplicity of an everyday action. It has become a ritual that goes beyond the simple act of ingesting a liquid. Each sip is an invitation to cross an invisible portal, a portal that promises something irresistible: relief from tensions, freedom from everyday shackles, and for some, a connection to something greater. However, like any portal, it hides its dangers, which are often ignored. This dual aspect of alcohol, both seductive and dangerous, is what fuels our collective fascination. For many, it is an outlet, a way to cope with the frenetic and stressful pace of modern life. For others, it is the faithful companion of celebrations, capable of transforming ordinary moments into special and memorable occasions. Still, it's impossible to ignore the price it charges. While it offers a promise of relief and relaxation, alcohol often destabilizes, disconnects, and in many cases destroys. This contradictory relationship leads us to a deeper reflection. What do we really seek when consuming alcohol? Is it just momentary pleasure, or is there, hidden beneath the surface, a deeper, unconfessable desire for transcendence? To answer these questions, we need to look to the past and delve into its origins. It is at this point that we begin to explore the secrets of the word Al-Kuhul and all that it represents at its core. Long before alcohol was widely known as a beverage, it was revered for its deep connection to mysticism, spirituality, and alchemy. The term Al-Kuhul, which gave rise to the word alcohol, emerged in Arab traditions and carried a meaning that went far beyond the recreational substance we know today. To the alchemists, Al-Kuhul represented an invisible, almost ethereal essence that could only be extracted through meticulous purification processes. This concept was not merely scientific, it had a spiritual and symbolic dimension that transcended chemistry. The distillation process, essential for the production of alcohol, was not only seen as a practical technique, but as a true sacred ritual. Alchemists believed that by distilling a substance, they were separating physical matter from its spiritual essence, capturing something they called spirit. This spirit, however, was considered ambivalent and even dangerous. He was described as a body eater, a force that needed to consume physical matter in order to exist. This idea not only underlines the physical impact that alcohol can have, but also symbolizes its potential to consume and destabilize the spiritual balance of those who use it. In alchemical practice, distillation was considered an act of profound transformation, almost an analogy to the journey of the soul. Just as the soul must be purified to reach a higher state, substances were purified in pursuit of their true essence. In this context, alcohol represented both transcendence and destruction. He was a powerful agent of transformation, but he also carried an implicit warning, a power that had to be handled with extreme caution, as it could lead to elevation or ruin. As time passed, however, alcohol began to be used outside of the alchemical and spiritual context. It has become a recreational substance, widely consumed and often trivialized. However, its mystical origins still echo in the meanings we attribute to it today. The term Al-Kuhul reminds us that alcohol is more than just a chemical compound. It is a powerful symbol, a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, but when misused, it can pave the way for disconnection, imbalance, and chaos. This duality is one of the reasons why alcohol continues to fascinate so much. On the one hand, it offers the promise of transcendence, of relief, and of connection to something greater. On the other, he reminds us that true spiritual elevation cannot be achieved by external or artificial means. To fully understand its impact and significance, it is essential to revisit the role it played in ancient civilizations, where it was simultaneously venerated and feared. Throughout history, alcohol has been much more than just a drink. It has played a central role in the religious and cultural practices of numerous civilizations, being considered a gift from the gods. The ancient Sumerians, for example, recorded on clay tablets how wine and beer were used in sacred ceremonies, not only as offerings but also as tools to establish a connection between man and the divine. These records highlight that for these cultures, alcohol consumption was not something trivial, but a practice loaded with spiritual meaning. In ancient Egypt, wine was closely associated with Osiris, the god of renewal, fertility, and eternal life. For the Egyptians, wine symbolized the endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. During festivals dedicated to Osiris, wine was consumed in rituals that celebrated abundance, the continuity of life, and the regenerative power of nature. These rituals went beyond simple consumption. They were experiences that sought to honor the mysteries of the universe. In ancient Greece, the relationship with alcohol also had a strong spiritual connotation. Dionysus, the god of wine, ecstasy, and divine madness, was worshipped in celebrations that combined music, dance, and, of course, the drinking of wine. These festivities, known as bacchanals, were not just moments of fun, but opportunities for participants to transcend their everyday reality. It was believed that by consuming wine and entering altered states of consciousness, people could connect to the divine and access a deeper truth about existence. However, even in these cultures, alcohol was seen as ambivalent. It had the power to inspire, to enlighten the mind, and to bring mortals closer to the gods, but it also carried destructive potential. Many ancient sages warned about the dangers of excessive consumption. To them, alcohol could both reveal hidden truths and throw the mind into total darkness. This duality has been recorded in myths, teachings, and practices that have survived over the centuries, reminding us that alcohol is both a tool and a trap, depending on how it is used. Today, although alcohol is widely consumed as a recreational substance, its spiritual and symbolic roots still offer us a richer and deeper understanding about its nature. It is not just a drink, it is an element loaded with meanings, promises, and warnings. By revisiting its origins and the context in which it has been used throughout history, we begin to understand not only the impact it has on our lives, but also what it represents in our quest for transcendence, balance, and connection. However, despite its veneration, alcohol was seen as an ambivalent element. It had the power to reveal hidden truths and bring mortals closer to the gods, but it also carried destructive potential. Many ancient sages warned of the dangers of overstepping the limits. Alcohol could enlighten the mind or throw it into complete darkness. This dualism was recorded in myths and teachings that crossed the centuries. As time went on, alcohol ceased to be an exclusively spiritual tool. It began to be used in a more everyday way, losing part of its sacred symbolism. However, the warnings of the ancients were not completely forgotten. Esoteric traditions continued to explore the invisible effects of alcohol, especially its impact on the energy field and spiritual consciousness. The history of alcohol, therefore, is a history of balance and imbalance, of connection and rupture. It symbolizes both the human quest for transcendence and the dangers of getting lost along the way. And it is this ability to influence both the physical and the spiritual that leads us to explore its effects on the human energy field. While alcohol is widely studied for its effects on the physical body, its impact on the human energy field remains shrouded in mystery. For many spiritual traditions, the human being is not just composed of flesh and blood. There is a subtle dimension, invisible to the eye, which constitutes our energetic essence. This field, often referred to as the aura, is a reflection of our spiritual, emotional, and mental vitality. When we consume alcohol, it doesn't just affect the body's chemical processes, such as the liver and brain. It also interacts directly with the aura, causing a destabilization that often goes unnoticed. Clutter begins with the creation of disruptions in the energy field, small gaps that make the individual vulnerable to negative external influences. This vulnerability is more than a metaphor. According to esotericists and subtle energy scholars, these gaps allow the entry of destructive thought forms, astral larvae, and even spiritual entities that feed on dense energies, such as those produced by addiction and emotional imbalance. Rudolf Steiner, one of the great scholars of modern spirituality, argued that alcohol consumption weakens the spiritual self, making it susceptible to destructive forces that interfere with the psyche and human behavior. In addition, these energetic disruptions affect our ability to connect with the higher self, that part of us that is in harmony with the cosmos. Instead of feeling aligned and centered, we become scattered, like a boat aimless on a turbulent sea. This state of energetic disorder manifests itself in feelings of anxiety, mental confusion, and spiritual disconnection. Understanding these impacts helps us see alcohol in a new light. He is not just a physical substance. It is also an agent that interacts with our subtler layers. And while their effects on the aura may be invisible, they are felt deeply, often without us being aware of it. The relationship between alcohol and the chakras, the energy centers of the human body, is an aspect that is little discussed, but extremely relevant. The chakras are responsible for regulating the flow of energy in our body, connecting us to both the physical and spiritual worlds. Each of them plays a specific role, from our basic needs to the search for enlightenment. When alcohol enters the body, it directly affects these energy centers, creating an imbalance that can be difficult to restore. One of the most common effects is overstimulation of the root chakra, located at the base of the spine. This chakra is associated with earthly pleasures, survival, and basic instincts. Under the influence of alcohol, it becomes hyperactive, leading people to seek immediate gratification, often to the detriment of their spiritual well-being. On the other hand, alcohol weakens the crown chakra, which is located at the top of the head and is responsible for connecting with the divine. This weakening makes it difficult to access higher states of consciousness and obscures our capacity for introspection and meditation. The result is a dangerous imbalance. We seek satisfaction in the material world while distancing ourselves from higher spiritual truths. This impact on the chakras is not just theoretical. Many spiritual traditions, such as yoga and Buddhism, warn of the importance of keeping the body and mind pure as a way to preserve energy balance. Alcohol, by disturbing this balance, takes us away from the state of harmony necessary for spiritual growth. By understanding how alcohol interferes with the chakras, we can begin to see its implications more broadly. Not only does it alter our states of consciousness, but it also affects the mechanisms that regulate our energy and connect us to the universe. There is a reason why alcohol is so widely consumed, even in the face of its known negative effects. For many, it represents a quick fix to complex problems. In a world where stress and anxiety have become almost epidemic, alcohol seems to offer a refuge, a place where worries disappear and confidence arises. But this sense of relief is actually a carefully masked illusion. When a person consumes alcohol, its immediate impact can feel liberating. Inhibitions diminish, emotions become more intense, and for a brief moment, it seems as if all the bonds of the modern world dissolve. But like any illusion, this sensation is fleeting and has a cost. What initially seems to be an escape from reality turns out to be a cycle of dependency. The promised freedom turns into a kind of slavery, where alcohol controls not only the body, but also the mind and spirit. This cycle is especially dangerous because it feeds an emotional void. Many turn to alcohol to fill a space they can't understand or explain. Whether it's loneliness, dissatisfaction with life, or a spiritual disconnection, alcohol offers a temporary solution that, ironically, deepens the original problem. Like a veil that covers reality, it allows a person to avoid facing their pain, but it never really eliminates them. The effects of this illusion are visible on both the individual and collective levels. When many people share this experience in a social setting, such as a party or event, the vibe of the space changes. The behavior becomes more impulsive, less rational. The energies mix in a chaotic way, creating an environment that may seem lively at first glance, but which often leaves a feeling of emptiness and exhaustion. The Hermetic tradition and other spiritual philosophies teach us that true freedom does not come from something external, but from within. Alcohol, by offering an illusory solution, takes us away from this fundamental truth. It seduces us with promises of happiness and relief, but it disconnects us from the only real source of wholeness, the connection with our own essence. Throughout history, spiritual masters, sages, and mystics from different cultures have offered warnings about the use of alcohol. These messages are not merely moral warnings, but insights deeply rooted in understanding how alcohol affects the body, mind, and spirit. Buddha, for example, included in the Noble Eightfold Path the precept of avoiding substances that cloud the mind. For him, mental clarity was essential for spiritual progress, and anything that interfered with it was seen as an obstacle. In Christianity, St. Augustine warned that drunkenness was a form of spiritual self-destruction, distancing the individual from divine grace. These teachings are echoed in other traditions, such as Hinduism, which associates alcohol consumption with increased qualities of tamas, darkness and ignorance, and rajas, restless passion, impairing the balance necessary for meditation and introspection. But why did these spiritual figures view alcohol with such concern? The answer lies in the impact it has on spiritual connection. For mystics and sages, the spiritual journey requires discipline, clarity, and a deep connection with the divine. Alcohol, by clouding the mind and destabilizing the energy field, directly interferes with these processes. Not only does it make it difficult to access higher states of consciousness, but it also makes us vulnerable to destructive forces that divert the focus from the spiritual path. However, some masters recognize that alcohol could have a limited role in specific contexts, such as sacred rituals. In Sufism, for example, Rumi often used wine as a metaphor for divine ecstasy, but he also warned that literal wine was a distraction, keeping seekers away from true awakening. This distinction reflects a deeper understanding. True ecstasy comes not from external substances, but from an internal connection with the divine. These caveats remain relevant today. They remind us that alcohol is not just a lifestyle choice, but a decision that can have profound implications for our spiritual journey. At a party or social event, alcohol seems to be the essential ingredient to ensure fun and relaxation. It dissolves social barriers, facilitates interactions, and creates an environment where everyone seems more relaxed. But what happens when the party is over? Often there is a feeling of tiredness, apathy, or even inexplicable sadness. These feelings are no coincidence. They are the result of an energetic impact that alcohol has on both the individual and the collective. When many people consume alcohol in the same space, their energies begin to interact in an uncontrolled way. The vibe of the environment, which initially seems lively, becomes dense and chaotic. This is because alcohol directly affects each person's energy field, creating gaps and imbalances that facilitate the disordered exchange of energies. The result is an environment that may seem pleasant at first glance, but that leaves a trail of emotional and spiritual exhaustion. This dynamic is widely recognized by spiritual traditions that emphasize the importance of protecting personal energy. Shamans, for example, warn that environments where alcohol consumption is predominant are more susceptible to the presence of negative energies. These influences can include astral larvae, destructive thought forms, and even spiritual entities that feed on dense vibrations. In addition, the collective impact of alcohol reflects a broader disconnection. It symbolizes an attempt to escape from group reality, a search for relief that, ironically, deepens the emptiness that everyone is trying to avoid. When the party is over, what is left is not a sense of connection, but of dispersion. This understanding leads us to reflect on the true cost of alcohol, not only for the individual, but for the collective. It reminds us that while it may seem like a facilitator of joy and connection, alcohol often leaves behind a trail of disconnection and imbalance. Despite all that has been said about the impact of alcohol, from its physical consequences to its spiritual implications, the good news is that human energy has an incredible capacity for regeneration. While alcohol can cause significant disruptions in the energy field, spiritual practices and deliberate awareness can help repair this damage and restore lost balance. But how to walk this path? The first step is to understand the impact that alcohol really has on our essence. For many people, alcohol consumption is automatic, a part of the social routine or a way to cope with stress. However, as we look at the energetic and spiritual effects more closely, we begin to realize that this habit often disconnects us from our true nature. This perception in itself is already a way of awakening, the starting point for a deeper transformation. Once this awareness is achieved, it becomes possible to adopt practices that help rebuild the connection with the higher self. Techniques such as meditation, yoga, and mindful breathing are powerful tools for strengthening the energy field and restoring inner harmony. Meditation in particular allows the practitioner to access a state of stillness where energetic wounds can begin to close. Similarly, practices such as Reiki and chakra alignment help to balance the body's energy centers, creating a solid foundation for spiritual growth. Reconnecting with nature also plays an essential role in this process. Contact with natural elements such as the sea, mountains, or a forest helps restore energy balance. The energy of the earth is purifying and provides a type of healing that goes beyond the physical, bringing a sense of calm and groundedness that alcohol could never offer. Another important element on the path to liberation is gratitude. Often we turn to alcohol to escape a reality that we consider unsatisfactory. But as we cultivate gratitude, we begin to realize the beauty that exists in every moment, even in the simplest ones. This feeling connects us with the abundance of life and dissolves the inner emptiness that alcohol promises to fill, but never really can. The path to rebuilding the connection with our divine essence is neither quick nor easy, but it is deeply rewarding. By adopting these practices and making more conscious choices, we become more aligned with who we truly are, making room for true peace and wholeness. The journey to break free from alcohol is not just a matter of quitting a substance. It is a complete transformation of life, a rebirth that leads us back to our true essence. Just as a tree blooms again after winter, even after periods of darkness and pain, our soul possesses an innate ability to renew and thrive. This rebirth begins with a choice. One must consciously decide to walk toward the light, even when the shadows seem stronger. For many, alcohol represents a constant companion, an emotional crutch that offers comfort in times of difficulty. However, by choosing to break free from this cycle, we discover that true strength does not come from something external, but from within us. Along this journey, it is common to encounter challenges. The body can feel the effects of withdrawal, while the mind tries to resist the temptation to fall back on what is familiar. It is in these moments that forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, becomes essential. Many people carry feelings of guilt or shame for past choices, but it is important to remember that these feelings do not define who we are. As the poet Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Our imperfections are part of the journey, and it is through them that we learn and grow. Plus, finding a supportive community can make all the difference. Spiritual groups, meditation circles, or even mindful friends can offer inspiration and encouragement along the way. We don't have to walk this journey alone. Sharing experiences and receiving support strengthens us and reminds us that transformation is possible. When we finally began to break free from the cycle of alcohol, we discovered something surprising. The peace, joy, and clarity we sought outside of ourselves had always been within us. This recognition is the pinnacle of spiritual rebirth, a moment when we realize that we are complete by nature, without the need for external substances. Choosing the light in the shadows is an act of courage, but it is also an act of love. It's a reminder that as challenging as the journey is, it's worth it. Because in the end, it's not just about quitting alcohol, it's about rediscovering who we really are and living a life that reflects our true essence. Now that you know the hidden mysteries and spiritual impacts of alcohol, it's time to reflect. What do you really look for when consuming this substance? Is it worth exchanging the connection with your essence for a passing moment of relief? The choice is yours, and the power to transform your life is in your hands. If this journey of discovery made sense to you, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Share this video with someone who might need to hear these words. Leave your comment telling us what caught your attention the most and how you see the impact of alcohol on your life or society. And of course, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because we still have many more deep and transformative themes to explore together. Your transformation starts with a choice, and my mission is to be here to light that path with you. I'll see you in the next video. See you there.